Hello, hello. Make sure everything is on. I hope everything is on. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Angela. I'm a full time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to all of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some of the techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business, and I answer your questions. And every week, I do one of these lives, and just sometimes you have a question, and it's much easier to address questions and talk to you live than to try to make a video about a question and all that fun stuff. So, still fighting some allergies. I just cannot shake it. Sinuses. Anywho, how's everybody doing today? All right. If you've been here before, then you know that I have a poll. Every live, I have a poll. And today's poll is, do you offer services other than voiceover or audiobook narration? Meaning, do you have any other skills or any maybe offshoots of audiobook narration or voiceover, like audio editing or podcast editing, or maybe you have other skills in maybe photography, or you know how to design websites? Do you know how to transcribe? Do you know how to do any of these other skills? Do you also offer those in conjunction with, or, a lot for your business, for multiple diverse streams of income? Do you offer any of these services? And so far, we have 17 votes, and 41% of you say yes. 44% of you say yes. 22% of you say no, I only focus on VO or audiobooks. And 37% of you say no, but I could or want to. I personally think that any kind of skill that you have, that you've spent time learning, and the training, and if you've honed any other skills other than voiceover or audiobook narration, and you can offer them in a digital type of a place, meaning like freelance work, why not? Because as you know, voiceover work and audiobook narration work, especially in the beginning, isn't very consistent. So if you have other skills, why not use them? Those other skills may keep you busy in the downtimes when you're in between audiobooks or you're in between voiceover work. There's nothing wrong with that. Totally do it. If you want to write books, if you want to edit books, if you can write copy. There's tons of voiceover artists in this industry alone that need copy, for every type of purpose, for demos and samples. And oh my gosh, if you know how to design ebook covers, that is definitely growing in popularity. There's a lot of authors self-publishing now, and they all need ebook covers, right? So if you have any of these skills with Photoshop or After Effects or Lightroom, if you have any of those and you can offer these skills in a digital type of environment, why not? Definitely do it. Wow, so we're up to 23 votes. Okay, wow, cool. So we're at 52% of you say yes. Okay, cool. If you say yes, you offer other services, if you could please share those in the chat. So maybe you'll spark an idea for someone else who is watching along with us here. Because, it doesn't hurt to share. Yeah, so 52% of you say yes now, and only 17% of you say no, I only focus on VO or audiobooks, and 30% say no, but I could or want to. I would say to you, 30% definitely offer those, for sure. All right, let's dip into the chat. We have Terry Rustad is here. Hello, hello, hello. Robert Paul Moore is here. Good morning. Rob the Maritimer. Hello. Good morning. Donald Lord. Just a fond hello. Well, thank you. I appreciate everybody just saying hi. You don't have to have a question. You can just come and hang out, and, we're all family here. Just come and say hi. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody being here. Oh my gosh, we got about 31 people in here. Woo, doggy. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming in and saying hi. I really appreciate that. And don't forget to like, too, because liking this video tells YouTube that I'm A-okay. And hopefully they'll show my videos to more people like you or like us looking for this information. So it definitely helps. Thank you so much. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Yo, that voice is here. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Melissa's here. Good morning, Melissa. Thank you for joining. Yvette Deschamps is here. Good morning from Durban. Good morning from Phoenix. JCCAOL is here. Good morning. My dream job is to do cartoons. Batman, Hulk, Spider-Man, Bane, here I come. When you say do cartoons, do you mean voice them or draw them? But you're in good company here. We are Marvel and DC fans here. Mostly Marvel. Don't hate me. Scoremore is here. Good morning. Excuse me. I think my goal is to voice act in animes. That would be so fun. I would love to do that too. I've done a few video games, or not video games, like animated series. Not even a series. What was that? I've done a couple of things with animation, let me just say. But they've been independent type of things. Most of what I've done in kind of a animated world has been video games. And there's only been a few, but most of the time I'm serving as the AI voice. Because if you've listened to me any amount of time, you know that I sort of sound like Alexa or Siri. No fault of my own, I just do. So I can do a AI voice pretty good, I think. It's better than, having people go to the AI dark side, right? Pay a voice actor to be an AI for you. Melissa says, which plugins for editing would you say have helped you the most? If you could only have one or two, which would you choose? Ooh, for plugins? Okay. I could think of two that immediately come to the top of my head. And NS1, that you can find through waves.com. NS1 is a noise reducer. That one has been huge. And I think for me, it's one of the better plugins that I've used throughout my career that really reduces ambient noise in your room without really destructing your voice in the process. I know there is Clarity. There is Clarity VX that had just come out, and I admittedly haven't really tried it again with shorter files, but I had tried it on an audiobook file, which is, maybe 20, 30 minutes long, and it sort of added some glitches and like blips throughout it. But I have to give it another chance and try it on maybe a shorter audio file and see if it works well too. So just stand by on the Clarity thing. I have heard some great things with Clarity, so don't hold off on purchasing it if you want to. But I'm hearing great things about Clarity. I myself have not tried it again for fear of totally destroying my file. But maybe that was just my user error. I don't know. But to continue on with the question, the other plugin that I think is the most beneficial for me is the one that I have found through Isotope. That is the mouth declick. But that particular plugin is only available in the standard and advanced bundles of RX9. It's not available in the smaller bundle, the Elements bundle. Smart marketing, I suppose, just to have it available. One of the best plugins they have available in the medium and the large bundles, I suppose. But the mouth declick from Isotope and the NS1 from Waves are the two best plugins I think I've ever purchased thus far, to answer your question. Tiffy Pop is here. Oh gosh, I just scrolled way too far up. This question is a bit off topic, but what advice do you have for people like myself who have constant sinus infections problems and how to keep the voice strong? Same girl. I've always had sinus issues. And then I got COVID at the end, oh gosh, about a year and a half ago now. It was at the end of the first year of the pandemic. And ever since then, I've had like a constant like sinus drip, for lack of a better term. And every so often, my sinuses just give me trouble. Like normally, I don't have allergy issues, but this year really hit me hard. And it's taken me this is probably now the third week that I've been dealing with just constant stuff. Your face is just, and it's making me nuts. So I think one of the things that I have found is using like a neti pot really helps to keep the passages clear. And then also I'm one of those people that I don't like to take medications unless I absolutely have to. So I always tried to go with like a homeopathic route. And I have found these on Amazon, and they say they relieve post-nasal drip, which I think is one of my biggest issues. And I don't know if you guys can see this. Maybe I'll just have to put a link, but I don't know if you can see that at all. But if you check out on Amazon, the company is called Boiron, Boiron. They have a lot of really great homeopathic remedies for, all kinds of different issues. And I have found that these work. They're just little tablets and they dissolve under your tongue. And they do seem to help. But I'm not quite sure. Some people say that vaporizers and stuff like that help as well, just to keep things moisturized. I've tried it. It doesn't really seem to help for me much, but really just it constantly blowing your nose. But allergy pills, of course, if you have to, really kind of dry things up and make it a little bit easier for you to deal with. But I'm right there with you. I'm trying whatever I can do to just get rid of this. Because it really does affect your voice, too. And everything's draining. I know it's gross, but I mean, it's reality, right? Everything's draining and it screws up your voice. And it makes you clear your throat a lot, right? Which is the problem that I'm having. So, but lots of tea. There's a throat coat tea, which is also very nice if your throat is sore. That's also available on Amazon. It's a herbal tea. It's called throat coat tea. That one's really good. Throat lozenges also help, from my understanding. There's also a lot of saline solutions that do well for keeping things moisturized and, if you're constantly blowing. So, sorry for all of you for, the whole sinus question, but thanks for sticking around. Maybe I'm hoping that'll help more than just Tiffany or Tiffy Pop, excuse me. Rob the Maritimer says video editing. So you do video editing. That's great. You will always have work. I have a lot of clients ask me if I could do video editing, and I can. It's very just light video editing, just simple cuts and snips and transitions and things like that, but nothing really major. But video editing would be a good skill to share. You could do a lot of extra work with video editing. Sean Lester 007 says, editing audiobooks, why not? I end up having to do that anyway. Absolutely. If you are an audiobook narrator, offer your editing skills and your formatting skills to other narrators. Sometimes, and I have personally found myself in this position where you have several books lined up in queue, and some time frames might be shorter than others, some deadlines, and you might need some help. You might need to just narrate and throw the edited or the unedited files to someone else who can do it and have them work on that as you move on to the next book. So having or knowing somebody that can do that is huge sometimes. So that's great. If you know how to do that, then anybody else listening, definitely offer editing audiobook services. Because not everybody knows how to, especially if they're self-published authors and they narrate their own book, they probably will need help because, as you know, in the beginning, all of this technical jargon is just completely foreign. So they're not going to know how to do that either. So if you offer those skills, or if you have those skills, then definitely offer them. Absolutely. Rob Jefferson is here. Good morning. When you accept a job from a first-time voiceover client, Do you accept payment before you submit the finished file, or do you get payment after the client gets the file? It depends on where this order came from and what kind of voiceover it is. If it's someone who has reached out to me directly, I will send them an invoice typically no, I'll send them the invoice with the finished file. It also depends on how my spidey senses are feeling about it too. If there are some red flags, I might send it beforehand. I've only done this maybe once or twice. Most people are pretty, they're very communicative about what they need, and if someone's going to invest the time in getting what they need and talking with you through these things, then I don't think that would be a red flag to me. But most often I deliver the file with the invoice. If it's an audiobook and it's a pay for production, I ask for 50% upfront, which really cuts down on anyone trying to scam you, right? Because if they're trying to scam you, then they don't want to pay anything. They just want to take your files and run. So I ask for 50% upfront, and then the remainder is due when the files are delivered and the author is happy with them. If you're on a site like Fiverr or Upwork or any of those, then those sites will control that money. They will hold it in escrow for you until the job is completed, and then they will release the funds to you. So, but most of the time I just deliver I deliver the files with the invoice most of the time. Jerry Berman is here. Good morning, Jerry. Oh gosh, I scrolled too far. Morning. Have a great day. Thank you. You as well. Kirk is here. Aloha, Kirk. Hello, darling. Padrika Gray is answering Tiffy Pop. The taste is awful, but if you can find Father John at an older pharmacy or grocery store, it truly works. What is Father John? Is it like an herb, or what is Father John? Please elaborate. I would love to know. Excuse me. Elle says, hi, all. Hello, Elle. Good morning. Michael Verney says, hey. Hello, hello. Pam Miller is here. Good morning, good morning. Ron Rio is here. Good morning, Ron. Thanks for joining. JCC AOL says, I would like to do voiceover for cartoons, but I do illustrate and study 3D art and photography. I hope to have a website or a TikTok to show my work before the end of the year. That's a great goal. There's millions of eyeballs on TikTok. If you can get onto TikTok and showcase what you can do and a little bit of your personality at the same time, I think that's a great marketing strategy. Social media is huge for creatives, I think. Robert Palmore says, I really like Wave's clarity. Check out the YouTube reviews. I've had very good results. That's good. That's good to know, because so far, and in all fairness, I've only tried it on the audiobook. I need to try it on other stuff just to get, to form my own real opinion about it. But I have heard really great things about clarity. Padrika Gray says, hi, Angela. Hello, Padrika. When narrating words like clock, job, pact, or cat, is it customary to articulate the last letters in a soft or subtle way, or with a crisp sounding K, B, D, or T at the end? Oh, my cat's she's got the crazies up there. I have taught myself to really give these an additional crisp ending, I guess you could say, because with being a voice actor, we tend to use noise reduction type of software. Most of us do. There are a lucky few of us that have a completely clean sounding room, no ambient noise, no nothing, like a whisper room or something like that. But most of us don't, right? Especially in the beginning, we just have some sort of a closet or something that we converted. So we have to use noise reducing software or plugins. So when you use those tend to sort of soften those sounds for you in post. When you apply the effect, that usually is what happens. Those crisp D's, T's, and K's are softened quite a bit. So I have taught myself to really be sure to enunciate those words like cat instead of just saying cat. because that soft T at the end might be completely lost after you completely process your file. And then your client will say, you just said ca, you didn't say cat. And I've had that happen a couple times. Then I've had to tweak my noise gate and all of those things. And at the same time, teach myself to make sure that I enunciate those, those consonants. So, and the same thing goes with sibilants. I was very sibilant. I had to teach myself also to maybe position my tongue in a little bit of a different place, make my teeth a little further apart so I wasn't so sibilant. As you go along in this career, you will teach yourself to talk differently. You will start to speak like a voice actor almost all the time because it's a new way of, it's a new way of talking. And it just becomes habit. So, yeah. Maybe that's why I sound like Alexa. I don't know, because I do. Epiphany. Anywho, but yeah, I definitely give them a little bit more of a punch. Robert Palmore says, I really like a neti pot. Does seem to wash your troubles away. Yeah, for sure. I looked at one of those Navage things on Amazon where it's like a jet and then a suction. And again, I'm not trying to gross anybody out, but I don't know about all of that. I'd rather just gravity do the job. But yeah, neti pots are great, especially if you have sinus issues. Kenny M is here. Hello. Hi there, Angela. Hello there, Kitty. I hope you've been well. I have, thank you, apart from allergy issues, apparently. When you started out, what did your recording space look like? Was it a more basic setup than this? Your videos have been incredibly helpful and inspiring. Well, I appreciate that. This has always been my recording space. I take that back. When I first started, I tried recording in my living room on a glass table surrounded by walls and 8-foot ceilings. It doesn't take much to understand what that might have sounded like. It sounded horrible. But in my house, I have this little tiny storage closet. I think it's supposed to be like a little tiny office, but it's really just like a 5x6 room. And it didn't look much different than this, apart from the covering on the walls, really. I got a bunch of those acoustic tiles, with the horizontal or vertical slats in them, and then just position them all around the room. Getting them to stay on the wall was a feat in itself, but then I figured to put spray adhesive on the back of the tiles and then mount them to poster board and then tack the poster board to the walls. That seemed to work. But when I went full time, I completely gutted this room and put in my new studio desk. I put in new lights. I've got these moving blankets and I put these on the wall instead because I really wanted to dampen down the reverb that was in this room. The reverb in here was really, really bad because the walls, I think, were just so close, and the ceiling is, it's probably an 8-foot ceiling, maybe. But getting this room, this little tiny room, to sound halfway decent was definitely a feat in itself. But it looked pretty much like this, I think. The only real difference was the tiles versus the moving blankets. But it's always been, I've had my Sennheiser for maybe 2 or 3 years. Oh, 3 years. 3 years now. So the setup in here is basically the same. It's just different equipment, different wall coverings, really. Andy B says, sorry, I'm a bit late. Thanks for joining, Andy. What do you use to hold copy and the printed words? Also, neti pot might work, saline. Yeah, neti pot with saline powder and distilled water if you can, or boiled water. You don't want any of that extra minerals and stuff in there. I first started out with, I had a smaller monitor when I first started. I had a very small, just like a standard computer monitor that usually comes with a desktop PC. It was very small. And I used a tablet to read my copy off of because I didn't want to keep printing paper because that's not very eco-conscious, eco-friendly, right? Is to keep printing off all this paper. And it's not very cost effective either. So I was using a tablet to read copy off of before, and then I decided just to get a bigger monitor. So now I have a 20, 27-inch curved monitor, and I can split the screens, right? So I can see my DAW on one side and my copy on the other. I know some voice actors that have multiple screens or multiple monitors, right? They have one where they can see their DAW, and then they have a completely other one that they read their copy off of. So, I mean, there really isn't a right way to do it, whatever works best for you, but that's what I do. I use one monitor for both because I'm looking this way anyway. I don't really move much from this position. So if I'm looking this way I can see my DAW, I can see my script. Mic doesn't move. I'm pretty much stationary. Robert Palmore says, if you are congested and your throat isn't too sore, try throat singing. The deep vibration seems to loosen things up and you can get rid of the yucky stuff. Oh, you mean like, I've heard of that. I don't know if I could do that. It's almost like a deep hum, for lack of a better way to explain it. So it's like a hum that kind of resonates in your throat. It's a good idea. I might try that. Thank you for that, Robert. Oh, I scrolled too far. Andy B says, if I cannot optimize my space, walk-in closet, or unfinished basement, I can always record in my vehicle. You can, but whatever you do decide to use as your recording space, make sure that's always going to be your recording space. And setting up your vehicle and taking everything down every time you have a voiceover order is going to be, I think, not only difficult, but probably tedious. So you really want to have a space that is going to be set up specifically for voiceover or audiobook narration and stay that way. A vehicle might be hard to get consistent sound out of. Because if you think about it, if you use your vehicle, and I know it's a great temporary fix for sure, but it's not a place that I would recommend to do all of your voiceover work going forward, because you're not going to position all of the sound dampening materials exactly the same. Sometimes you might not have time or the desire to reset it up the exact same way every time, and your sound's going to be not super consistent. So I would highly recommend finding a place in your house that you can dedicate to voiceover and leave it set up. I mean, some of us have to, I know some of us, I should say, were setting up and taking down a hobo fort every night while they did their work. And that's fine as long as it's set up the exact same way, but that too can be very tedious. So you ideally want to have a place that's not going to change. You set it up, it's dedicated for voiceover work, and none of the settings or materials change, because you want to keep your sound as consistent as possible from client to client, from order to order, from audiobook chapter to audiobook chapter. You want to keep a consistent sound if you can. Padrika Gray says, audiobook question. What would you suggest as a sweet spot when we decide to keep a natural breath sound? Is a reduction to 36 dB too high, or is it a personal preference? I think it's a personal preference. I think if it's a low natural breath or even a sharp intake of breath, I've heard them both in audiobooks that I've listened to. I think it's just personal preference. As long as the breath isn't like super distracting, I would leave it in. Although I'm listening to an audiobook right now where the narrator takes really distracting, sharp intakes of breath, and they left them in. And I think it really bugs us because we know to look for them and to remove them. But I think it's just something that is blown out of proportion, really. I think we are our own worst critics when it comes to that. So I think leaving a breath in is fine, as long as it's not like a big raspy breath. You know, I would leave it in. I think that's totally fine. Kirk says, there is an oil-based nasal drop called Ponaris? Ponaris? Am I pronouncing that right? That was highly recommended by my ENT. The problem It's highly infused with herbals, which affect my taste for hours. Lubricates well, but not a fan. Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to write that down. So it probably has, has it like licorice and that slippery elm? Oh my gosh. But you know what? If it allows you to get some work done without constantly clearing your throat or blowing your nose, then I'm definitely down to try it for sure. Padruka Gray says Father John is an old-fashioned remedy. Thick throat coat containing black licorice and cod liver oil, and it cuts through the yucky stuff. Interesting. Yeah, I've heard black licorice and slippery elm bark are good for that, but they have like that black licorice taste that I'm not a black licorice fan. I like red licorice, but not black licorice. But I will deal with it if that's what it needs to, if that's what I need to fix this issue. I'm writing that down too. Father John. I love it. Thank you guys for sharing all of this stuff. Hopefully that helps others. But the cod liver oil, does that have like a fishy taste? I don't know if I'd be down for that. But again, if it helps, I would be open to trying anything. Kirk's is answering. Padrika Gray says, I kept breaths to -16 to -19 on Audible, but not aggressive. -36, I think, would be inaudible. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a very big difference in volume. But again, I wouldn't take them out unless they were like super huge or raspy or distracting. I would leave them in. Terry Rustad says, where in your professional opinion is the best place to start for a beginner with zero experience? That's a good question. I think the best place to start for you would be gathering all the information that you can, making sure that you can actually understand copy, that you understand your DAW. I think in the very beginning, learning and training are the biggest things that you can do. I know it's kind of like the chicken or the egg type of a situation that I'm always asked. Well, I can't pay for training and equipment without making money first. And that's true. But if you don't know what you're doing with all of this great experience, or excuse me, all of this great equipment and technology, then how is it going to serve you then, right? So I would say get all the training that you can, learn all that you can, choose a DAW, learn your DAW. If you have Adobe Audition, for example, or Audacity, for example, learn them inside and out in terms of recording, editing, processing your voiceover. Reach out to a mentor or to a coach and really start to learn from them ways that you can use your voice, how you should sit, maybe to work on character voices, whatever it is that you want to do. And then maybe dip your toes into ACX if you want to narrate audiobooks. Try some freelance sites first. You could get into pay-to-play sites too if you wanted to, but those usually cost a membership fee to even be heard or seen. So using freelance sites was the way that I got started, and I've done really well on Fiverr, namely. Upwork is a close second. But then at the point that I'm at now, I've got enough clients that have reached out to me and found me through YouTube and all that stuff. So all of the success and income comes in time, but in the very beginning, getting training and learning all that you can are going to be absolutely necessary, I think. Lost my place again. Bear with me, guys. Padrika Gray says, thanks to Kirk. Mekady, am I pronouncing that right? Mekady? Watching her videos. Oh, thank you. To start, also, anyone else who's doing well. Let's see. Yeah, I think what you're saying is lost my place again. I think what you're saying is, Mekady, you're saying to start, watch my videos. I think that's what you're saying. And if that is true, then I appreciate that. But there are a lot of other voice actors, full-time voice actors that are doing very, very well that share information on YouTube. There's Anthony Pica, of course, of VO's Journey, who is my friend and mentor. He was my coach for a year. And then there's also Booth Junkie, who goes over a lot of great equipment and mic comparisons and things of that nature. There's Gabrielle Nistico. I think her channel is The Gift of Gab. She's also a great one to watch. Bill DeWeese, of course. He's a great one. I know I'm forgetting somebody. But there's a handful of great voiceover artists on YouTube that have videos that are very, very informational and insightful. Robert Palmore says, please stay away from any power anything when it comes to your pieces parts. I've used a power lavage. Power packed my sinuses and took days of lavage to clean out everything that happened first day. I had the same feeling. I think that's what you're talking about when I was talking about the navage earlier, when it uses like a jet and then a suction, so it kind of powers everything through. I had the same feeling. I'm like, I don't know if I need that much horsepower behind cleaning my sinuses, right? I think that's what you're saying. I totally agree with you. Padrika Gray says, thanks so much, VoiceOverAngela. You're welcome. Michael Verney says, I have a Navage, but I haven't used it yet. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I would love to say, let us know how it works, but I don't know. I was on the fence for getting one for a long, long time. And not only are they expensive, but I've also read some people saying that they cause them to get like infections that went up. I don't know. The whole thing just scares me. I'd rather just do something that's, just uses natural gravity, I think. I want to power stuff up in there. I don't know. It kind of scares me. Oh. Pat Jones VO says, what type of lights are you using to give that glow? Oh, behind me, it's just a floodlight. It's a floodlight that has a remote. So it does all kinds of stuff. You can like program different light sequences if you want to. I'm not that fancy. I just choose a light. I usually go with this. It's like a purpley blue. I don't know. It's calming to me, but I could do orange and red and yellow and white and have it pulse and flash and do all kinds of stuff. Oh, and there's even like a timer on it too. Cool. Yeah, I'm not super fancy. I like the ambiance that it gives. Matthias R says, good morning, Angela. Good morning. How are you doing? I am doing fabulous. How about you? Question. When it comes to talk or prospect new customers, what do you say? I don't always want to be salesy in the beginning. I don't want to push sales on people. I want it to happen organically and naturally. I want to reach out to people and make connections. So I always just say, hey, I always thank people for their time. Like, for example, if you're sending out a proposal or something like that, I always thank them for their time, for taking the time to read through my proposal. If they have any questions, I'm available. Something that was brought up in a group discussion recently, which I think is a great idea, is when you're meeting with people for the first time, especially someone who may be new to whatever industry they're working with and don't really know how the voiceover process, ordering process, or audiobook narration, if any of that works, you can always offer them a Zoom link to meet with you, beforehand and say, hey, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to meet with you via Zoom for 10 minutes and answer any questions you have. I can meet you face to face. And then I think in that interaction with the face-to-face Zoom, you see another pair of eyes. You make a human connection with someone, and it adds a little bit more of, trust and connectedness, because humans want to work with other humans when they could see them in the eye, right? You want to have that connection with people. So I think that was a great idea, and I might use that at some point. But typically, I don't talk sales right away. I'm just an information warehouse. If they have questions about whatever it is that we're talking about, I'll just make myself available to them. But and sometimes clients get a little bit like they think they're asking dumb questions when they're really not. They're all the same questions that we've all asked or have been asked, a million times. So just try to make things as simple as possible for people, I think, and they definitely appreciate that. I also offer new clients a short complimentary sample of whatever it is that we're discussing doing. That way they can get an idea of what the finished product would sound like. This is really, really good for audiobook narration because authors, if you think about it, if they take all of this time to write this book, they want to make sure that the voice they choose is going to be, or close to at least, the same voice that they heard in their head as they were writing this piece. So giving them a short complimentary sample, a minute or two, I think is really good for them in helping them make a decision. So I usually offer that as a short complimentary sample for clients. Lost my place again. Andy B said, I've heard Fisherman's Friend is a decent line. I have heard that too. I'm going to write that down. I've heard that too, and I completely forgot about it. Fisherman's Friend. It's a throat lozenge. I'm going to try that too. Thank you for that, Andy. Kirk says, Ponaris, not sure of the pronunciation, good, it's not just me, is primarily oil of pine and eucalyptus. It should be used regularly for best results. I should just suck it up and use it during these high allergy times. Maybe. I'm definitely going to be looking into all of these when this live is over, for sure. All right, you guys, let's hop on over to the poll really quick like. Okay, so we have 34 votes on the poll. And the poll today was, do you offer services other than voiceover or audiobook narration? 46% of you say yes. I would love to know what those services are. 20% of you say no, I only focus on VO and audiobooks. And 34% say no, but I could or want to. And again, if you have other skills or services that you can offer on a digital platform, like a freelance type of a platform, I would definitely offer those services. Because again, as we know, voiceover and audiobooks you're not always stacked up with work, right? Sometimes there could be a lull. And those other skills that you have, if you offer them, are things that could keep you busy and keep the income coming in between voiceover or audiobook jobs. And not only that, but I think if you were offering these skills on a platform like Fiverr namely, then the traffic from one gig, if you have one gig, let's just say, like in my case, podcast editing, I have a lot of traffic to that because I edit for, there's about 30 channels now that I edit for. Not consistently, but there's about 30 of them. So the traffic to that one particular gig helps to boost the traffic on all my other gigs. So similarly, if you have a skill like audiobook editing or formatting or what was the one that I had just heard? I can't think. Oh, video editing, maybe. Then if you could find a few YouTube channels that are maybe just getting started out and the channel owner doesn't know how to edit video, then you could have recurring clients for that one gig. And that one gig, that traffic through that one gig can help boost the traffic to all your other gigs. So having other skills is beneficial in lots of different ways. So if you haven't considered it, I would definitely give it a try. And I lost my spot again. Musical Neptunian, hello, thanks for joining. In my opinion, Reaper is easier than Audacity for an absolute beginner. I've never used Reaper. I should probably get in there and try at least. I'm assuming they have a free trial. I know most of them do. But I at least want to experience Reaper. But I know that usually Reaper and Adobe Audition are the two DAWs that I hear of people using the most. And I personally used Audacity for just a couple of months, but Reaper, I would imagine, just like Adobe Audition, would be like opening up a whole new world in your capabilities and what you can do in your DAW with your voiceover. So, but I don't know if it is, but if you're saying that it's great for a beginner, then that would be definitely beneficial for people to hear for sure. Mechadai, pronounced Blaze. Hi, Blaze. Thanks for joining. That's funny. Matthias R. Oh, Earl Hall. Thank you. Yes, I totally forgot about Earl Hall. He was somebody that I watched in the very, very beginning, Earl Hall. And I know that he kind of took a step away for a little while, so I completely forgot about him. But thank you so much for reminding me. Yes, Earl Hall has got some great videos too. Robert Palmore says, mine was jet only. For the... Oh, for the power lavage. Oh, okay. So yours only just shot stuff up into there and... Oh, my God. I don't know why that scares me so much. Matthias R., who is the mentor of Anthony Pica. Yeah, I'm well aware. Yeah, actually, Anthony and I were in Earl's Facebook group and together. And then Anthony kind of went off on his own and did his own thing and became a coach. And about a year after that, then that is when I started to seek him out, because that was my ideology, was to find someone who was where I wanted to be. And I really liked Anthony, not past tense liked. I mean, at the time, he was somebody that I could talk to, right? He was funny, he was personable, he was very, I just really liked his attitude. So I sought him out as a coach. But Anthony and I have known each other for years and years and years, but I've never met Earl. But yeah, I know the whole story. He was supposed to be Earl's Fiverr guy, for sure. Brandon is here. Hi, Brandon. Brandon don't hate me. Catanzariti? Catanzariti. Did I get that right? Morning. I missed a work meeting earlier, but I'm here for this. Priorities. I appreciate that. But don't get in trouble. Don't get in trouble. Just stop on in and say hi if you can, but don't get in trouble in the process. Oh my gosh, Terry. Terry Rustad just did a super chat of $10. Thank you so much. I appreciate the response to my question and your excellent information. Many thanks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That is awesome. You rock, Terry. I appreciate you. No. Okay, focus, Angela. Melissa Barton-Briggs says, for audiobooks, do you have a standard document that you give to new clients to set expectations? Some RHs can get really picky about edits, which I get, but at some point could get out of hand. Absolutely. In terms of expectations up front, having something in writing would be very, very ideal, because you could either send that off to them as a finished document, or you can copy and paste it into conversations wherever. I think that's a great idea. But typically, yeah, most of my work for that comes through freelance marketplaces like Fiverr and Upwork, where all of those expectations are already stated through my profiles and frequently asked questions and things of that nature. But working directly with clients, it would be a great idea to have a document stating expectations, maybe a layout of how, like the steps in the process. You know, we discuss this, you send me the manuscript, I review it, you know, it'll take me X amount of time to do this, and then I'll deliver the 15-minute sample. And then at the very end, you'll have an opportunity to review all the files. Let me know if there's any revisions that you want to be made, and make sure that you state in there that they're giving you the final draft of the manuscript. I think that is one of the most important things. I've come across a couple of audiobooks that I've done where it was not the final draft. At one time, it was a completely different book that they had given me in error. So I would definitely state that somewhere in that document too, that they're giving you the final draft of the audiobook that you need to narrate, and to make sure that it's correct. It happens, right? But I think that's a great idea to have something like that on hand. Musical Neptunian says, I like that. Complimentary sample also shows skills to client beyond just your voice. Absolutely. And when it comes to audiobooks, I always format that complimentary sample to ACX or Audible standards. That way they can hear what the final audiobook would sound like. Because as you know, it sounds a little bit, the voiceover sounds a little bit fuller, louder. So you don't want it to be like a stark contrast, because some people will actually fixate on that. They'll say, well, the sample you sent me was much quieter, crisper, whatever it is. And then the final book sounds fuller, louder, whatever it is. And then they'll say, well, this is not what you told me it was going to sound like. So I always send them a fully formatted sample for audiobooks. I don't want to give them any reason to doubt me or second guess me at all, right? Tiffy Pop says, one more question. For a very, very beginner, do you suggest starting out with one of your courses or join your membership? Oh, well, I'm not one to plug my own stuff, but yes, I do have courses on my website. I have pre-recorded courses for Fiverr, Upwork, meditation, voiceover type of stuff. I've got a few courses on there that, because some people like to learn stuff on their own, and then some people also like to learn in a group environment. And our group is actually, we're really fleshing it out with doing live reads together and critiquing and all of this stuff. So, and my membership, my platinum membership on my website is, right now it's $20 a month, which I think is, personally speaking, it's a great value for what I offer. But with that membership, we meet weekly as a group and discuss successes, questions, and then we also do live reads for each other. And we're going to start critiquing demos and stuff starting this week, actually. And then I also have scripts for my platinum members that you can use for demos or samples or stuff like that. I have challenges, I have blogs, I have all kinds of stuff for my platinum members. Free resources like ebooks and planners and calendars, stuff that they can print off and use. So I offer my members a whole lot for just $20 a month. It really should be probably more than that, but it's okay. I'm trying to help, right? But for a very, very beginner, I think for you, like I said before, if you're just getting started out, I would definitely seek out mentors, groups, coaches, people of like-minded. That way you can soak up the terminology, how to use your DAW, how to, interpret copy, all of the things that are necessary for voiceover. Knowing even what some of these things mean in the very beginning is going to take you a lot farther, I think, than just kind of winging it. I just winged it for like a year and a half, and then I got to the point where I'm like, okay, well, because I'm hard-headed, right? I can do this. I'm independent. I can do this on my own. But I came to the realization about a year and a half later that I needed help, and that's when I reached out to Anthony, and he helped me through a lot of things. So, but if you want to join my membership for platinum members, I would love to have you. It's a very casual meeting, by the way. We just wrap out. Everybody brings a drink. You don't have to dress up or anything. Okay. Musical Neptunian says, hello, Angela. Hello. Robert Palmore says, I like Reaper. It does have a free trial. Okay, cool. I think what I'll do then is maybe I'll pop into the free trial and check it out for myself. Musical Neptunian says, Reaper does have a free trial for 60 days. Oh, that's a good free trial, 60 days. That's a good free trial. Because I think Adobe Audition is only 14 days, I think. William Haywood says Earl Hall is now in the life insurance business. Yeah, last I heard he had moved into insurance. But I've seen him a couple of times pop in and talk about voiceover, I think on Facebook Live or YouTube Live. I could be wrong. But yeah, he's kind of moved on to other things. Okay, we've got about 5 or so minutes left of the live, so I'm going to get through these last questions really quickly. Melissa says, as always, thank you so much for your help. Hubby and I are driving down the highway heading for a quick vacation, and this has been a great way to spend an hour. I appreciate you tuning in. Wherever you're going, I'm hoping that it's fun-filled, relaxing. Wear sunscreen. It's important. Hydrate. Vitamins. Have fun. JM says, hi, Angela. Really appreciate your content. Do you have any suggestions on learning the business aspect of things? Invoicing, taxing, general small business stuff. I think I have personally a few videos here on my channel that address these things. PayPal is definitely going to be advantageous for any small business just starting out. QuickBooks, things of that nature, because accounting is one of the things that was most difficult for me, keeping track of money and all of those things. But QuickBooks and PayPal work together. I'm not thinking of the word right now, but they work together so you can calculate taxes and keep track of invoices and all of those things. So having those two together has been huge for me in itself. But I think Anthony Pica on A VO's Journey also has a few videos about the small business aspect. But that is a great point because it's also part of what we do, right? And I don't think enough people talk about it. So maybe I'll have to record a video about that. So thank you for that. Filmmaker Klaus Kusero says, let's do a video about microphones together and address the basics and answer questions from your community. That's a great idea. I like that idea. Although I haven't had a whole lot of personal time with other microphones. I've had just 3. So, but I think trying out new microphones would be fun. I think it's a good idea. Musical Neptunian says, the Reddit voice acting section is great for a total beginner. You can ask anything, and industry pros there who are great. That is a great tip because I know there's a ton of Facebook groups out there that are very welcoming and nurturing and supportive, and there's some out there that are not. It's hard to distinguish the ones that are and the ones that are not. But luckily, the ones that I belong to have been just fabulous. I myself have a Facebook group called the VO Workshop. I'm very selective in who I let in. So I know that everybody there is, so far as I can tell, have been also very supportive and welcoming. And I allow you guys to upload your demos for feedback and stuff like that. And I know some don't. Some groups don't, but knowing that Reddit has their own voice acting section is great. I'm actually going to write that down too. Reddit. Great. I love when you guys share tips with each other. That's awesome. William Jacobson says, if you're going to try Reaper, definitely do Mike Delgadio's new class on setting up Reaper for VO. Mike Delgadio really talks up Reaper. He's a avid Reaper user, and it was actually him that made me, openly say, yeah, go get Reaper, because I trust Mike. I trust his opinions. But yeah, he would be a good person to teach you how to use it. And if you want to learn Audition, Adobe Audition, Tim Tippett is who I learned. He has a course on understanding the ins and outs of Adobe Audition. So he would be a good one for Audition. Kirk says, Platinum Thursdays are great fun and a wonderful support info system. Highly recommended. Thank you, darling. Yeah, Kirk is in my Platinum group, and he's just a treasure, a wealth of information on it in his own right. And I appreciate you, Kirk. I really do. Padrika Gray says, I've warmed up well to Audacity. Admittedly, it was hard, but now things are rolling along. Just learned how to use Isotope outside of Audacity. I'm pleased they share that with me. That's great. And again, if Audacity works for you, then it works for you, right? If it's not broke, then there's no need to fix it. So I'm glad that Audacity is working for you. That's cool. Melissa says, you sound like me talking to my kids. Wear sunscreen, hydrate. Mom's gonna mom, right? Yeah. It's ingrained. It's ingrained. I can't change it. I'm a mom. I'll forever be a mom now. I mom everybody. Musical Neptunian says, at William Jacobson, agree. Reaper for Voice Talent is a great video series on YouTube also. Isn't there somebody else that, I know Mike Russell on YouTube talks about Audition. Does he also, I want to say that he talks about Reaper too, Mike Russell on YouTube. I'm pretty sure he does. I could be wrong, but I want to say that he does. Michael Verney says, Booth Junkie has video to set up Reaper for VO. Watch that to help you customize it, and you will like it even more. Yeah, I'm always hearing great things about Reaper. I'll have to just pop into the free trial and check it out for myself. Elle says, thanks. I just joined your Facebook group. Oh, thanks. I'm going to hop in there today and I usually only approve people on Mondays, but sometimes there's a lot of people in there, and I hate keeping people waiting. But if there's a handful of people in there, then I'll usually just go through and, admit some people. Musical Neptunian says, Audacity is fine if that works for someone. There are pro narrators who use only Audacity. I've heard the same. I've heard of audiobook narrators that have been doing this for years that just swear by Audacity. So it works for some people. And again, it's just personal preference. If you can get it to do what you need it to do, then there's nothing wrong with, whatever it is that you choose. So that's awesome. All right, guys, let's check the poll one last time, and I think we're going to wrap this up for today. And again, I just wanted to say thank you again for everybody that has joined with me today in this Q&A. I really appreciate the time that you take to spend with me. I do. I really appreciate it. And for everyone that has commented, sharing helpful information, and you guys just rock. I really appreciate it. Okay, so we have 41 votes on today's poll, and today's poll was, do you offer services other than voiceover or audiobook narration? And 44% of you said yes, and 20% of you said no, I only focus on VO and audiobooks. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's your business, do what you want to do. But if you have other skills, I say, put them to work, have them make you some money, right? And then 37% of you said no, but I could or want to. For those of you that 37%, personal opinion, I would definitely offer those services to keep income coming in between voiceover jobs. It's worked for me, and I definitely recommend it. Blaze says, thanks, Angela. Thank you, Blaze. Thanks for joining. I know you're a busy little beaver yourself. I'm glad that you took the time to pop in and say hi. And hopefully I'll see you in class on Friday. And for those of you that don't know, if you're looking for a great place to learn all aspects of voiceover, the business side, marketing, audiobooks, e-learning, Fiverr, everything that you can think of, I'm actually one of the coaches in Anthony Pica's VO Academy, a VO's Journey Elite Academy. And there's actually a link to get 50% off your first month in the description of this video. I am a coach for the audiobook section. There are 5 coaches, one every day of the week, Monday through Friday, and we have each an hour class. And you join via Zoom, and the coaches just go over the different aspects of the classes that they're teaching every week. And I want to say, I'm not sure of what the monthly fee is. I can't remember if it was just changed or not. So please, I'm sorry about that part. But I do have a link to 50% off your first month in the link in the description. And you can work with me on Fridays for the audiobook section. So again, thank you everyone for your time. And I look forward to seeing everybody next week. And until then, have a great week. Bye.